Yeah, hey everyone, I'm kurushiidrive, and I'll be running Afterimage, which is a 2D Metroidvania developed by a Chinese indie studio. And this game is very cool. The speedrun is going to be very fast-paced and awesome. I won't be doing this alone. I'll be joined by Helix for my couch commentary.
Hey, hello. I knew nothing about this game going in, and Kurushi has taught me a whole bunch, and I now have like 5 pages of commentary notes. So that should explain just how much of a wealth of knowledge he is about this game and how prepared he is to showcase this game. And people in the crowd, make some noise. If y'all are not here, y'all are missing out, I promise you, because this game is sick. Y'all don't know. Y'all staying up to watch this? Making the correct decision.
Yeah, you guys are going to love the speedrun. It's for a category called The Essential, which is just the name of the ending. We'll go over what that entails later on in the run. Also, just before we start, we're going to be running on the advanced difficulty. This game has 2 difficulties. Normal was added in the December update. Advanced is basically what the game was beforehand. We'll be running on advanced today because that's what most runners are used to in the community. Timing starts upon selecting this difficulty here, so I'll count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we go. Best of luck.
And we do have an outfit selection from the bid war, so which one won?
The winner of that is Molten at $500.
Ooh, Molten, okay. You guys have excellent choices for that. So this is the Molten outfit.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, for the start of this run, we're in a basically tutorial section. We start with the dash, which is great because it allows us to move a lot faster through this section. We're already going to be collecting a couple of what are called dues, which is the currency for this game. And we're going to be using these dues for fast travel as well as enhancing the weapons that we collect along the way. But apart from that, it's just nice and deft platforming here as we approach the first boss in this tutorial section.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of tutorial. You're noticing a dash. That's going to be a pretty big movement mechanic for a while. There's an upgrade we'll grab soon that makes the movement pretty cool, a little bit ridiculous.
Yes, it's going to be sick when we get there. But this boss, we're already employing a very cool combat mechanic that allows us to just melt through the bosses.
The way you shred that boss gets me every time.
Yeah, it's hilarious the sound it makes too. But for the second phase, we're taking an intentional death. We got a bad pattern, but it's a little finicky with the spacing you need for it to get the pattern that instantly kills you. But yeah, it's a scripted death that takes us to the next part of the game, and it sets up the story events in which we see that the main character is able to revive at these trees called confluences. But first, we're just going to make a quick backtrack here for this potion. And one thing I should mention about the story, the main character's name is Renee. She's an amnesiac. Right now, she's basically set on a quest to reunite with her mentor, but she needs to recover her memories along the way because there's a lot about this world that she does not know. A lot of dangers, a lot of friends that we can make, but we're not going to meet a lot of those people because we're speedrunning here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But we're also going to be grabbing here our first new weapon. This is the wooden scythe, and we're already going to be employing it with this technique that I showed against the first boss, which is called crouch cancel attacking. Helix, if you would like to talk about this a little more.
Yeah, love that long jump.
Yes.
Saw it and was like a little confused. I was like, oh wow, you're attacking really fast. It's just attacking, canceling that attack animation with a crouch, crouching for as little time as possible, of course, and then attacking again. So when you break it down like that, I think it's rather simple. You were telling me though, Kurushi, that it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yes, it's all rhythmic. Ideally, obviously, you want to go fast, but it turns out that actually just consistency will keep up your DPS as opposed to outright speed. But obviously, if you want to get top level times in this game, speed is ideal. We're going to be seeing this combat mechanic throughout the whole game, throughout the whole run. It's central to both sword combat and scythe combat. But we're now in the second area of the game. This is called Rainbow Plains. We're going to be hitting this due again for some currency. But at the end of Rainbow Plains, we're going to be encountering a boss that we'll be seeing quite often throughout the run. And she's a pretty important character in the story. For now, her identity is a little mysterious, though. I'll play along with the game and call her triple question marks, because that's the name that you'll see when we encounter her in the boss fight. But until then, this is actually not a bad time for donations, because we're still on a relatively chill part of the run.
That's what I love to hear. I have a $100 donation here from Zen Ryoku, who says, had to stay up to support my fellow fighting game enjoyer. Continue to strive towards a better future through gaming. You got this, bud.
No strives in Zenryoku, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
But thank you so much for donating Zenryoku.
Do we have time for one more?
Definitely.
All right, Retro Rage sent in $10, says local fighting game hater here. Congrats to the GOAT, kurushiidrive, for making it to SGDQ. Just wanted to ask the big question, is Afterimage a fighting game? Good luck on the run, Kurushi. May the boat do the boating. May this donation go towards Runner's Choice. What is your Runner's Choice, kurushiidrive?
I'll have to come back to you on that
All
since
right.
this boss is engaging. But yeah, so yeah, this is triple question marks. First kind of long boss fight at the run. We're already employing the crouch cancel attacks with the scythe, and we got her in a real back state, but we didn't get the ideal manipulation, which is to keep her stuck in a corner. So the alternative is to damage take this pillar's attack and use that to continue our DPS and finally close it out with some more crouch cancel attacks. And overall, pretty decent fight.
You see what I'm talking about? It takes the handoff after that fight, flawlessly explains it while performing it. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that fight is honestly a pretty big choke point in any percent where runners oftentimes restart runs for every little bit of time save. But I'm a big fan of no reset. But yeah, this is now the hub town called Resting Town. We're just going to be grabbing a fast travel Afterimage, which is a progression ability. It's only going to be used once though, so it's not a super major talking point. But next we're going to buy 6 resting potions, which is the real fast travel of this run. And we'll be using these to teleport to save points throughout the entirety of the land of Ingarden. Yeah, so our next area here is going to be a resting path. We're just going to be flying through these areas, guys, so please bear with me. But before we go into the depths of resting path, it's worth noting that anytime there's like a resting potion just randomly set in any spot, it's worth grabbing it in this category because not only is this a long category, but it just helps with improving the routing's efficiency. So in Resting Path, the main goal is to collect the next progression ability, which is Slide. And Helix already mentioned this, but it's not only gonna just basically double our movement speed, but it's also necessary for progressing through the rest of the game. So.
Yeah, keep an eye out for when we get Slide. Well, you'll notice it.
Yes.
I don't really need to say that. You'll see.
But yeah, before we go deeper into Resting Path, this elevator didn't activate. Before we go deeper into Resting Path, we're gonna quickly make a detour up here to grab another weapon upgrade. This is the Bronze Scythe. And you'll notice that, yeah, this is quite out of the way. The reason we're going out of the way to grab this is because it actually saves more time to go out of the way and grab the next weapon upgrade and use that for the enemies in that area than to use the weapon that we previously had, because the damage improvement is just that massive. So that's going to be a recurring theme for every single weapon upgrade we pick up from here on out. And usually the weapon upgrades will be from the Scythe weapon class because that's the most comfortable speedrunning weapon class. The sword is also good, but we don't find good enough swords early enough in the run for that to be used by comparison. So Slide will be dropping from a mini-boss. It's funny because this mini-boss is actually just 2 enemies that are regular enemies in the late game section of this area. But we won't get to see that late game section because it's not part of the category for this run.
No, I like when games do that. They introduce something as a boss, and it's a regular enemy later.
Yeah, speaking of regular enemies, you'll notice actually already we're seeing all these red icons over almost every enemy we encounter. This is because, well, as it turns out, it's a Metroidvania. You're expected to take your good old time exploring every crack and crevice, but we don't have time for that. We're speedrunners, right?
It's true.
Yeah, and this game has quite heavily RPG mechanics, and it takes its inspiration from like Symphony of the Night and Hollow Knight, where you can like level, well, not Hollow Knight in this case, but you can like level up by fighting enemies. But in the case of the speedrun, we don't have time to fight every single enemy we come across, so the main thing we'll be doing is just dodging enemies to avoid contact damage, which does mean, unfortunately, that we're going to be quite underleveled for the most of the run. But here's said mini-boss I mentioned earlier. These guys go down pretty quickly, and they make funny noises when they get hit.
It's every time. It's so comical to me, the way you just shred these guys.
Yeah, crouch canceling is really powerful. and there's a reason it's like the main combat option for this category. So that was nicely done. We're now gonna show off our new movement capabilities from here on out.
Look at that. Look how much faster we're going now.
It's awesome.
We were talking about the slide. It's. So are you like keeping momentum from the dash with the slide? Is that what's happening, or does the slide just do that?
Yeah, that's right. It's momentum being maintained. You want to cancel the dash like as soon as possible into slide so that you can get all the benefits of the momentum without losing. The weird thing about this game is that the dash like right away gives you the top speed, so there's no reason to keep the dash duration any longer than it needs to be. So you just cancel it right away into slide.
I love the way you just slide up those slopes so smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, these inclines are a bit tricky to navigate up normally, so the dash timing is a bit more particular than it might appear. But yeah, right now we're in Field of Geo. This is the most cycle-dependent area that we've come across so far. Field of Geo has a lot of kind of dangerous enemies and tight platforming, where if we mess things up like I did just there, then you take a lot of damage. So I'm gonna just quickly take a safety heal and wait for these bomb throwers to reset their cycle. Usually you just gotta stand outside of their detection range for that to happen. So yeah, we got that other guy at the top to reset. But yeah, normally when you come across Field of Geo, your health pool isn't fantastic. So as you can see, you need to like kind of manage your health pool in an intelligent way so that, you know, you don't die just before like the save point that's coming up. In which case, we do have one save point coming up here, so I think we should be good to make. Ooh, okay, I didn't make it. So unfortunately, I have to retraverse from the resting town save point, which will take some time. So while I make it back up there, donations are certainly okay.
We have some donations coming in that are more than okay. And in fact, we have a $1,000 donation from Dre 0560 says, I hope everyone is enjoying themselves for a great cause. It makes my heart swell with happiness. So incredibly kind. We have time for more?
Absolutely, go for it.
All right, Kona Rican sent in $10, says picked up Afterimage sometime back and haven't gotten around to playing it. Looking forward to seeing what I can look forward to. You get to see it all here at GDQ.
Yep, you can keep going.
All right, I have a $25 donation here from Trainer Anade who says there are some really cool prizes that I just have to donate towards. Let me tell you about some of those amazing prizes. At that $25 level, Trainer Anade has been entered into a chance to win a Turnip Bloy plushie and a double electric Kirby painting. If you want to see any of these gorgeous prizes for yourself, you can head on over to gamesdonequick.com/prizes. You can see them all.
The prizes are great, and the segments explaining them have also been great this event.
They have been absolutely fantastic. I agree with you 1,000%.
All right, so we're back where we left off. Here's the save point I mentioned earlier. Pretty soon we're going to be encountering the next boss in the next area, and that boss will give us the next progression ability, which is called, well, not called, but it's double jump. And packaged with it is dive kick, and it's honestly my favorite new movement upgrade in the game. You guys will love it when we come across it. But first, we're going to make use of what's called a long jump to grab this next weapon upgrade to use for said boss. And usually, again, the weapon upgrade that you find in a new area is going to be better for the enemies in that respective area than the ones we had before. In the case of this weapon, we're going to be using its jump attack animation to like deal a lot of damage with short hops, and it's a stark contrast from the crouch cancels we've been using up to this point, but it's certainly worth against this boss because it has like a second phase where it summons feathers, and this weapon is much better suited for deflecting those feathers than the scythe. Emerald Falls, fun fact, this is the name of the area that we're now in. This has my maybe favorite or second favorite music theme in the game. The music in this game is just incredible, so that's going to be a recurring theme throughout.
I love the music and just the sound design in general of this game. I was talking about it as we were setting up, but I haven't heard it before now, and the atmosphere that it helps create, just matches the overall aesthetic of the game really well, I think.
Yeah, it's awesome. I like anytime I'm doing like the crouch cancel attacks, the crunch is just so satisfying. It's cool. There's also a couple of enemies that do have voice acting, but unfortunately we killed them too fast before we're able to hear it.
Speedrunners.
Yeah. All right, so here's the boss. Its name is Loss. I'll go ahead and keep quiet for this one because I do need some focus. Okay, nice.
Well done.
Yeah, so those were the deflections I was talking about, and now we have double jump. We can dive kick our way through the rest of these sections. I love dive kicks.
I didn't realize dive kicks were bundled with the double jump until like just now.
Yeah, it also allows you to like bounce off of enemies and these helicopter things.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that'll
really
come into
cool.
play later too.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oops. But yeah, we're gonna make a big drop down here into the next area called the columns. There's a lineup for this so that we can get in the right spot. It's based on these background pillars, so I'm gonna try to get it. Nice. So yeah, the columns, all these enemies two-shot, but fortunately they can be relatively easily avoided. So, and we'll be out of this area like relatively quickly too. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the next area while we're here. The next area is Ashen Canyon, which is a connecting area that'll lead to the next progression ability, which is called the Clammy Whistle. And the Clammy Whistle just basically allows us to travel this cute little water overworld that leads us to the rest of the areas that we need to progress through the game. But in order to get the Clammy Whistle, we need to fight a boss. And this boss is located in Town of the Exiled. Town of the Exiled is a little dangerous, but the boss is even more so because this is like one of the first major choke points we'll come across in this run. Aus is the name of the boss, and she has like kind of RNG attack patterns that we'll have to hope that things go fortunately for us. Otherwise, she can put us in like a weird position where while we do have the ability to like die in 2 hits instead of 1, it's still a bit troublesome since we don't have like the best equipment for tanking like a bunch of hits from her right now. But first, we're just going to take a safety save, and then we'll navigate up to her. And Helix, if you will, anything about this boss that you think is noteworthy for the audience?
Let's see. I have here in my notes that she teleports around. Is that correct?
Yeah, the teleporting and the familiar summoning is a little awkward.
It sounds annoying.
Yeah. And there's also just the fact that sometimes the attack pattern like that you get can change how much time you lose for this fight compared to others. So if you're going for top time.
We mentioned RNG.
Mm-hmm. But we're still going to be crouch canceling her, and ideally, okay, so yeah, we couldn't get her to like get stunned out of that attack, so I'm going to go ahead and use a safety potion for this, and we should be fine from here. But yeah, now we're in phase 2.
Yep. Phase 2, she has enhanced versions of previous attacks. Mm-hmm. Be a little bit more careful.
Okay, we got a pretty good pattern for phase 2, so all is well. And now it's just the cleanup in the last part, and should be good to go. So yeah, overall, not too bad.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Had to keep attacking her at the end there, otherwise she would explode for a 1-hit KO, by the way, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that explosion catches everyone off guard the first time, so you really need to do enough damage to her, otherwise it becomes a big problem. But now that we have the Clammy Whistle, we're ready to head over to the dock that we need to use the Clammy Whistle at, and this will allow us to ride a manta ray. We're going to befriend him, and he will take us through the rest of the areas. But first, yet another boss.
Yep, and you're going to see the deflect mechanic come into play again here, I believe, with these ice crystals. There it is.
Yep, so with the deflect, we're able to get a ton of damage off of it and make the fight a lot faster, because the deflection does even more damage than our actual scythe standing attack does. But now, hop aboard the manta ray. Let's travel to the overworld. And we're going to be making a stop at this island to unlock a gate that'll take us to the other part of the overworld, because right now it's locked. But in the meantime, I should take this time to explain what the Essential is, because I haven't done that yet. The Essential is the name of the ending, as I mentioned before the run started. There are a total of 10 different endings in this game. So the Essential is one of them, and there's also a gag ending that isn't story related. But in the Essential, the goal is to collect 3 memory shards before encountering the final bosses of the category. And in that way, we achieve the good ending for the main character, Renee. The difference between this and any percent aims for the homecoming ending, which is the bad ending for the main character. And in any percent, since the homecoming doesn't require that much, we just basically beeline straight to the end of the game. Whereas in this category, we have to do a couple of things out of our way in order to get the memory shards and then go ahead and beat the final bosses from there. But yeah, while we make our way to the other side of the overworld, this is a good time for maybe 1 or 2 donations.
Alrighty, I have a $25 donation here from Gwiz the Stars. It says $25 for another year of SGDQ. These late night blocks are my favorite. Shoutouts to my monkey ball pal Helix on the couch.
Hi, thank you.
There was also a little heart at the end of that donation. Very
Yeah, I mean, thanks for donating, friend.
Yeah, so we're now in Forest Vergon. We're just making a brief stop here to get an armor upgrade that is going to make the rest of the run safer, because we're still extremely underleveled. This is actually like a level 50 plus area or so, and if we were to engage any of these enemies, we would just immediately die. So we're getting this armor piece for marathon safety, and it'll help for the final boss as well, because it turns out that final boss we cannot fight in the condition that we end up in this speedrun category without some armor, because she's a very high-level, strong boss.
Yeah, well, and especially in a marathon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're now making a stop at Holy Grounds. This is like the central area of the overworld, and this is yet another area where the enemies are extremely high level compared to us.
Yeah, this level expects you to be like level 50-ish, does it not?
That's right, yeah.
And we're level 9 currently, so...
Yeah, very dangerous. So we're going to be making a lot of sequence breaks here, because this is definitely not where we're supposed to be just yet. We're going to bounce off of this dragonfly. Thank you very much.
I love that.
Yeah. And then after this, we're basically going to be grabbing a scythe upgrade that will kind of just carry us through the rest of the run. It's honestly quite hilarious that we don't really need much else for most of the run beyond the scythe that we're just about to get. So, but in order to do that, yet another sequence break is coming up here. There we go.
Nice, well done.
Thanks.
Had to manipulate the dragonfly a little bit, so...
Yeah, sometimes its movement isn't uniform either, so it's necessary to adjust a little bit. So now we're gonna dash our way through the next part of Holy Grounds, and this is approaching Grand Archives, not just yet, but this section is very, very scary, so I'm just gonna have a little bit of silence for this brief amount of time. Okay, we made it out. Let's go. Yeah, so I took 1 hit. That's why we needed the armor, because otherwise I would have died to that without the armor.
Yeah. You were seeing Kurushi straight up dash through enemies because he was going fast enough to where he could just dash through them before their collision boxes load.
Yeah.
And otherwise, if he was a little bit too slow, he would have gotten hit. And you've seen how much damage those things do now, so close one.
Yeah, it's definitely not intended, but it's a minor glitch that's allowed and restricted. And we're now going to just be unlocking some shortcuts that'll allow us to make it easier to travel through this area when we come back to it, because yes, we will have to come back to it for some story-related events. But for the time being, we're going to make our way out of here. And there we are. Yeah, so next up is probably 3 of the hardest areas in any percent. It'd be Whispering Forest, then Forest Forgone, then Silent Coast. Whispering Forest, the main goal is to collect the next progression ability. It's the wall jump ability. But there's going to be a sequence break that we're going to use there to cut down the traversal time by as much as 30 seconds. And this sequence break was discovered relatively recently. And I pride myself in it because I was the one that found it. Although we do have a different method of employing it for the marathon context, because the way it works is a little different depending on the frame rate of your game. Interestingly, if you have VSync off, then the effect that the sequence break produces is slightly different. So let's see if we can get it the first try. But otherwise, as we make our way up to that part, some donations are here, maybe 1 or 2.
Sure thing. I have a donation from Monkey Thief for $50 who says, donating for 10 tickets to the hype train for me and 9 others that can't afford it themselves. Putting it towards the showcase as we always want to see more GDQ. And Monkey Thief is talking about the newest incentive that just opened up. We have an Easter egg showcase for Sonic Project 6 that we are looking to unlock. We need $12,000 for that. We are on our way at 155. Please keep those donations coming in. Make sure you click on that showcase so we can see it later today.
And here's the sequence break.
Yep, I'm going to try to go for it like maybe 10 tries, and hopefully we get it. But it's very, very finicky.
Yeah, this is quite difficult.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very, very tricky. So I'm glad that we got that in minimal number of tries.
Yeah, I think that still saved time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke to a robot there. She unlocked the portal. We're going to come back to that portal a bit later. But first, we got to go down to the boss. It's a quick safety save. And this boss is known as Failure. I'm not joking about the name. Yes, Failure, affectionately. Failure guards the next progression ability, wall jump. He's going to go down really fast, so it's going to be blink and you miss it. So phase 2 now, we crouch in a corner and avoid all of this, and then we just combo it, and it'll die.
Defeating Failure quickly. Well, if that's not a good metaphor for the entire event, then I don't know what is.
Indeed. So yep, now we have wall jump. Wall jump is not needed to beat the game, at least for any percent, but wall jump is certainly needed for the essential category because there's an area at the tail end where we're going to be just doing some vertical scaling, and wall jump is absolutely necessary for that. But yeah, I mentioned the portal earlier that we unlocked. Before we go back there, we're going to just grab quickly an armor upgrade that's going to help a little bit for the rest of this run. Yep, and this next area is called Forest Forgone. Forest Forgone is a little dangerous. That's an understatement, but it's honestly not going to get any easier from here. There's a boss known as the Unstoppable Devil, and she represents a character that we've actually seen before. This character is the character that we encountered at the beginning of the game, and she was basically just telling us to stay out of the events that are taking place currently. We're not really aware of what's going on. Again, the main character, Renee, has lost her memories, so she has no clue what's going on. So we're going to end up getting into an engagement with her and fighting her. She has a monster form called the Unstoppable Devil, and that's who we'll be fighting, not directly the character. So that fight's coming up here. We're going to quickly do some talent point menuing before the fight, though, and ideally she won't do an ice rain attack pattern, because otherwise that wastes like 8 seconds or so.
Yeah, and the best way to avoid it is surprise to kill her fastest.
Yes.
Of course, for speedrunners.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, some menuing here. Oh, I'm actually not at full health. Let me go ahead and get myself to full health. Nice. She didn't do the ice rain.
I love the way the music swells up, and like, just as it's really picking up, the fight ends.
Yeah. The story of the speedrun.
Yep.
So yeah, all done with that fight. now we're gonna head our way over to Silent Coast. And again, Silent Coast is extremely dangerous, so hopefully we make it out unscathed.
Yeah, here in my notes it says there are a lot of flying bunnies that dive at you.
Yes.
That's have fun with that out of context if you want. I don't know.
Yeah, there's flying bunnies, there's grounded bunnies, there's these little mosquitoes that kind of dive at you.
Uh-oh.
A lot of amusing enemies.
I was on board till you said mosquitoes.
Yeah, mosquitoes are not my favorite either. First, we have to just kind of slide under these little armadillo things. They're weird. They bounce all around. There's a way to time sliding under them so that you don't get hit, but it's not always easy to connect. So yeah, now we've uncovered the name of this area, Forest Forgone. We're going to take a save here because we're actually going to come back to Forest Forgone. This very spot, we're going to come back to later on. But for now, let's make our way over to Silent Coast. And as we make our way over there, a donation is okay.
Well, good thing I have a donation. Cataclysm sent in $5, said this event is perfect to scout for new games to enjoy. Afterimage is definitely now on my wish list, but it won't look so smooth when I play it.
I'm gonna have to check this game out myself. I haven't yet, which I need to fix.
Enjoying checking it. This game is gorgeous.
It is.
So we're now in Silent Coast. We're going to wall jump up here to grab, in my opinion, maybe the second best accessory in the game. It's called Twins Right Rink, and it just flat out improves our attack. So who can say no to that? But we're gonna make an important. Okay, let's start this over.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we're gonna make a save at this confluence because there's a part coming up that runners thoroughly enjoy. Basically, we need to take a boat ride across the misty waters, and in order to do so, we need to speak to an NPC that shows up to light the boat. The issue is that this NPC, whose name is Ian, doesn't always show up for some reason, and the runners don't really have a clue on how to make him show up consistently. So we just gotta hope that Marathon Fortune will be with us and that he shows up the first time.
I mean, I get it. It's 4 a.m. We'll let the man rest.
True. He's taking his deserved time off, but until then, we're gonna fight a boss. This is Runic Guardian, probably the easiest boss in the run, other than Lush Wolf. We damage tank that attack because it keeps our DPS up, and really has only 2 attacks. We don't have to worry about it too much. So Runic Guardian down. We're gonna speak to this Broom NPC, and he'll give us the golden card. And this golden card we have to give to Ian if he's even there. So let's see if he's there, hopefully. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still sleeping. After all, it is rather late in the morning.
I wouldn't want to show up to work at 4 a.m. either. I'm just saying.
It's true. So we'll see if he's there. If he's not there, well, we'll get there when we get there. Okay, he's there. Let's go.
Yes.
Nice.
Can we give a round of applause for Ian? What a trooper.
Yeah, let's go. Like, honestly, Ian being there the first time, pretty crazy.
Thank you, Ian. I mean, didn't want to miss his appearance live on the GDQ stage.
Yeah, he knew the stage that we were on. Mm-hmm. So we're taking this boat ride to meet our mentor. Maybe 1 donation here is okay. This is the chillest part of the run so far.
Okie doke. I have a donation here from Pariah1165 for $25. It says, watching to support an awesome run, but also an awesome host. Big shout out to all the hosts that give their time to keep things rolling and being the voice of the event. Donation goes to Sporadic's Choice, which is, of course, that Easter egg showcase for Sonic Project 6 that I mentioned earlier. We're already up to $260. Keep those donations coming in, folks. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, so we're now in Field of Hydro. We made our boat trip across the waters. Field of Hydro actually has no enemies whatsoever. The main purpose here is to reunite with our mentor, Eros, and she'll be giving us an important story quest item called the Magic Letter to Owl. And we'll have to use this to speak with the NPC Owl who's in Holy Grounds in order to perform a ritual that allows us to get our memories back. Secondarily, we're also going to speak to the NPC below, Eros. And this NPC is called Samsara. She's a very powerful Goliath. And she gives us the ability to swim. Because interestingly, Renee doesn't start with the ability to swim in this game. You have to acquire the ability. And we actually need the swim ability to beat the game. So it's very important to get that. We're now going to make our way out of here, all the way back to the hub town of the game, Resting Town. And we're just making a quick stop here to reinforce ourselves. We're going to get some enhancement materials and use them, as well as the currency we've built up, to improve our loadout that we've acquired along the way. After this, we're also going to be making a detour to Silent Coast yet again, and we'll be getting an ability called a Divine Seed. And this Divine Seed is perhaps the most powerful in the game. It's called Geocarapace, and it'll allow us to tank hits that are taken from behind. In addition to that, it'll actually deal a retaliatory attack. So this is going to be very useful for some later sections of this run. But before we do that, talent points yet again. And all these talent points, they'll serve an important purpose later on, so we'll come back to that once we get to the later part of the run.
Your menuing with those is really fast.
Yeah.
You've clearly practiced that.
Yeah, I try to keep them uniform because that's what helps me remember what I'm actually doing. So yeah, here's that section. It's very, very hard, so hopefully
And that's
it goes
why.
well.
This is where these red icons above the enemies actually help out quite a bit.
Okay, nice. We made it out of there.
Well done.
Okay, so now we can get the Geocarapace ability. Oops. And we're going to basically equip it right away. The way Divine Seeds work is pretty much exactly how Charms work in Hollow Knight, if any of you have played it. Basically, it's something that we can equip at save points, and it gives us a passive ability.
Okay, that's good, because I don't know much about Hollow Knight, so thank you for explaining that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, so we're back in Grand Archives of Holy Grounds, and we'll be speaking with the Owl NPCs shortly. First, we have to get past these mages. So what we're doing here, basically Owl is going to teach us a ritual called the Soul Resonance Barrier Ritual. And this is a process that will allow for Renee to recover her memories. The issue is that it's going to get interrupted. It's going to get interrupted by some bad actors, one of whom we've actually seen before. It's triple question marks back at it, back to our nasty, dirty work. So unfortunately, because the ritual's interrupted, we have to resume it in a different spot. We're skipping all of it because it takes too long.
Fair.
Yeah, but we have to resume the ritual in a different place that possesses the power necessary to perform the ritual. And this place is located underneath Holy Grounds in an area called Sunken Sanctum. Specifically, the area of Sunken Sanctum that we'll be going to later is called God's Hall. And God's Hall contains a relic called the Cradle that will allow us to insert memory shards and complete the ritual. Hence the reason why we need to collect 3 memory shards for this ending. But before that, we're going to fight, in my opinion, the best boss in this whole game. This is Valor the First Knight. Probably the most difficult and most satisfying boss fight to learn in the whole run. That goes for any category, really. But the way she works is pretty complex.
Yeah, there are a couple different attacks that she can do. If she's glowing yellow, she'll do enhanced attacks. All of her attacks can be either version, and they both must be dodged in different ways. So we've got to pay attention here.
Yep, Phase 1 tends to be the most volatile because of that, but Phase 1 is very clean. So, I said Phase 1, right? Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. She's not down. Okay. Yeah, we got to fight her again, all over again. The good thing is, this phase, she does damage over time to herself. So all we got to do is just kind of hold it out. The issue is that her defense is also greatly increased. So we won't be able to do that much damage to her directly. But the reason why we're still doing damage to her is because we're speedrunners, we like going fast. So this just speeds up the process of the damage over time.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a little bit of a war of attrition, but anything we can do to make it faster, we will. It's like we keep saying, we're speedrunners.
Mm-hmm.
I say we, like I've ever played this. I would not be nearly this good.
No, yeah, the philosophy transcends each individual game. That's
nice true, part. It does. As you will see throughout the week.
So yeah, this boss fight is just about finished. The issue is that you have to dodge this last attack, because this attack fills the whole screen except for the corners. And if you get hit by it, it one-shots, and you got to start the fight all over again. This is something that every new player gets hit by the first time. It's the knowledge check of all knowledge checks. But yeah, now that she's down, we grab her sword that she drops. This is Scorching Judgment. It's a great sword, so not the same weapon class as any other weapon we've encountered so far. But it's important to grab this because we're going to be using it for the final 2 bosses. It has a weapon skill that's basically a parry, and I know all of you out there that have played action games before love your parries. So this parry is going to be used as an important method of ensuring that we don't get one-shot by one of the final boss's attacks.
Yes, extremely, extremely important.
So yeah, we're dashing, sliding, making our way over to Sunken Sanctum. And while we do that, maybe one donation is okay here.
Sure thing. I have a donation here from Beanie Feenie for $100. He says, "This is the first GDQ I'm getting to watch with my son. Even at 2 months old, he's already fascinated with all the colors in the game so far. Looking forward to seeing his reactions throughout the rest of the week." I'm sure if he's awake to see this one, he's absolutely fascinated.
I'm certainly fascinated. I was fascinated when you invited me to commentate for this game, and I saw it. I'm like, that looks sick.
Yeah, this game is truly awesome. And again, it's an honor for me to be running this at GDQ for its first ever time at GDQ. So yeah, we're now in Sunken Sanctum. We just grabbed an armor upgrade. It's the same deal as the other armor. It's just going to help for late game. And this armor happens to give the biggest improvement to our health pool, defense, and attack. But we're now in Sunken Sanctum. This is a completely submerged area underwater. And there's no enemies, there's just electrical cube hazards that we have to make sure not to get hit by.
Oh no, not geometry.
Yeah, geometry, my worst nightmare too. But yeah, now that we're out of that section, we're just going down here to grab what's known as the key to God's Hall. We need this in order to get to the lowermost section of Sunken Sanctum. And God's Hall is where we'll complete, again, all of the story-related events that finish off this category. But we're not going to be ready to complete that just yet. We do have a couple of other things to do, namely gather some memory shards, because we haven't gotten those yet.
Exactly. Still need those 3 memory shards to get the best ending.
Interestingly, we have actually 1 memory shard right now, and this was given us by Eros, our mentor. She gave us one when we spoke to her in Field of Hydro. But we need to find the other 2, and their locations are relatively arbitrary. This game is very exploration heavy, as it tends to be with lots of Metroidvanias that follow in line with the Symphony of the Night and Hollow Knight inspiration. But these 2 memory shards in particular make the bulk of the rest of this run, the quest to get them. So we're gonna get past this last water section of God's Hall, or excuse me, Sunken Sanctum. Make our way to God's Hall. This is a door leading to it. And we're gonna make a save at this last confluence in God's Hall, because we're gonna come back here later. But we're not yet ready to do the last sort of things for this run. So once we do that, we're gonna go all the way back to Forest Forgone. Thought it was Forgone. Why are we going back here? Well, we need to get a progression ability for one of the memory shards. This progression ability serves exactly one purpose, and it's this one memory shard. This progression ability is known as, well, it's got I think it's called Plate of the Kingdom or something. It's basically just a ground pound, ground smash, ground break, however you want to call it. It's guarded by a boss known as Xeno Watcher. And this boss doesn't have too much interesting about it necessarily. I mean, after all, we're kind of killing these bosses too quickly for them to be explained in the first place. But this boss in particular, since we have so many powerful weaponry and abilities at the moment, we're pretty much just going to face tank it.
Yeah, my notes say that you're powerful enough to mostly just ignore this boss.
Exactly, yeah. And in order to keep ourselves in good TPS position, we're going to be turning around quite often whenever it does an attack to reduce the damage greatly thanks to Geo Carapace.
Yep. We have an ability now that will greatly reduce damage when we're hit from behind.
That's exactly right. All right. Xeno Watcher's acting up a little bit there towards the end, but we now have Ground Break. We're going to make our way back to Whispering Forest and get the memory shard that I mentioned earlier locked behind Ground Break. The memory shard itself is actually not in Whispering Forest. It's in Frozen Veins, and Frozen Veins is probably the smallest area in the game. but thankfully we don't need to spend too long there anyway. It's just the memory shard and then we're out of there. So while we make our way over to that memory shard, a donation is okay.
I just want to remind everybody that in addition to our incentives, we also have all kinds of bid wars open that you can bid on. We have 3 of them coming up for Live a Live, including you can bid on Masaru Takahara's name, you can bid on Oborumaru's name, you can bid on Pogo's name. All of those are open right now. Do remember to click on those incentives and bid wars when you're getting no donations in to Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah, so we're back in Whispering Forest again after getting the memory shard. Just one more area left in the run. However, this is the most dangerous area in the run by far. Probably one of the most dangerous areas in the whole game. This is Albedo Tower. It's a long trek up vertically. So we're going to be making use of that wall climb ability that we collected long ago, and quite in abundance. There's going to be a safety save at the very beginning of this section because it's very long, again, and all these enemies are hilarious. There's boulder throwers, there's laser beams, there's elemental birds. It's got it all.
And things are going to get very cycle dependent here pretty soon as well.
Yeah, that's right. Some of the best time save that's possible in this area. You have to make some very, very tight cycles. In the marathon context, they're a bit too risky to go for, so we're just going to kind of go through the motions and see whatever we're given, adjust based on that. But the first thing we're going to do when we get to this central section of Albedo Tower is we're going to unlock a mechanism on the far left in order to grab our last weapon upgrade of the run. This weapon is known as the Sen no Sen. It's not a weapon class of the scythe or greatsword. It's actually of the blade or the katana. And this weapon allows for us to deal additional damage to enemies when they're in an attack animation. The real reason why we're getting this weapon, though, is because not only is its attack value high enough for the purposes that it'll serve in the rest of this run, but also it improves our health pool on top of that. So it's something that's really important and useful for the last part of this run. Turns out we're going to need it for the very, very last boss of the run too. And I'll leave that boss's identity as a surprise for now. But as a hint, it'll be a familiar character.
This game and its familiar characters. Keep doing this.
Yeah, some of these characters just can't help it but to have the front row stage.
I mean, I'm sure there's world building involved, but we're going way too fast for that.
Yeah, no time for character development or anything. So this last mechanism we're activating is just for getting to the upper section of Albedo Tower so that these gears can move and all of that. And then after this, there's going to be a gauntlet fight that is really the last major roadblock before we get the final memory shard. Because actually, it turns out the memory shard is the only purpose that we're even in Albedo Tower in the first place. And it's unfortunate because the trek is extremely long just for this one simple memory shard. But it is necessary, so we can't ignore it, unfortunately.
I mean, makes sense why this is a separate category then.
Yeah, it's distinct enough from any percent, despite not really having that much on paper in addition. It's distinct enough that it's its own category, and we can all enjoy it in the marathon context, because who doesn't like good endings here?
Exactly. I'm sure some people do. Save kill the animals is a popular bid word for a reason, but still. I'm a good ending enjoyer.
So here's the gauntlet fight. I'm going to focus up for this one. A lot of waves of dangerous enemies. Here come those.
Yeah, there are the birds. This is a 5-wave gauntlet.
Yep, this wave is like the most chill one, because the birds just kind of dive at the same spot and we can kill them together. And, these last couple waves are mix and match of the previous enemies. This is the last wave here. Clutch level up. That actually restored my health, so that was excellent.
Oh, nice. I didn't know it did that.
Yeah, it worked out quite well. So yeah, that's the last major roadblock. There's just one more annoying little laser section here. that I'm going to try to hit a tight pogo to save some time. Hopefully the bird cooperates. Looks like we got it. Let's go.
Nice. Thank you, bird.
Yay. So we're all done with Albedo Tower. Just going under this water to get the last memory shard. Then we got the final bosses.
Yeah. You may be looking at that estimate and thinking, wait, we're already coming up on the final bosses? Yeah, Kurushi has been destroying that estimate as of late.
Yeah, when I first submitted this category, there was still a lot left to be explored and optimized. But since then, I've been practicing quite a lot. And yeah, we've got a good time for this category consistently. So here we are. We're inserting the memory shards in the cradle I mentioned before. But the bad actors are back. Uh-oh. Feel another aura. This is Guider to the Shadow Moon. We fought her in the beginning of the game. This is her real name. Obviously, you guys didn't think her real name was triple question marks, right?
Dang it. What if I did? What if I wanted it to be?
Sorry
No,
to
it's
disappoint. Okay. So yeah, that's phase 1, very quick. Phase 2 is unfamiliar. She turns into this translucent being where she has attack patterns that she teleports from different sides of the screen, summons light rays and light beams. This attack is annoying because it wastes a lot of time, but it's still fine to dodge. But yeah, no different from other combat engagements in the rest of this run. We're still just using the crouch canceled attacks. If she does the portal strike, we should see the parry. Oh, there it is. Right on cue.
Nice.
There's the parry. Unfortunately, we got to use it only once, but that's okay. So she's down, but we've got one more fight to go. And just a forewarning, time's going to be coming up once the boss fight ends. It's going to be when the health bar disappears. So it'll be blink and you miss it.
And so this is, wait, Renee?
Yeah, why are we fighting her? I'll leave that as a mystery if any of you play this game.
I gotta go play this game. You all should go play this game.
So yeah, this boss is very, very difficult. All of her attack patterns are huge. Her hitboxes, she lifesteals. She has a 2-shot on almost everything. And on phase 2, there's just this attack that's full screen that I need to hit a parry for. Otherwise, it one-shots. And I have to do both the previous fight and this fight all over again.
I was just about to say, if Kurushi dies here, you must do both fights again.
Yeah, so that'd be a pretty hefty time loss. We're hoping for that not to happen. Thankfully, the parry has a sound cue, so I'm just gonna listen out for that once it appears. There it is. I think that might have been too early. Oh no, we got it.
Nice.
Let's go. Sometimes it's hard to tell because the animation looks a little different sometimes when you freeze. But yeah, time's gonna be coming up here. We're almost done. There it is, that's time. Yeah, wow, so yeah, that run, apart from a few hiccups, it went like extremely well, I would say. There's a lot that can go wrong, which is why we have a fairly generous estimate, even with what I mentioned about the category being like further optimized. But I hope you all enjoyed it nonetheless. In terms of shoutouts, I just have the Afterimage speedrunning community to shout out. Thanks to everyone that's been supporting me through my speedrunning journey. This is actually my first speed game ever. I got into this game last July, and it's what brought me here. So it's been a great honor for GDQ to have accepted it for SGDQ 2024.
Yeah, you mentioned this was this game's first GDQ appearance, but this is also your first GDQ appearance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's been like a tremendous blessing, and I enjoyed my time a lot here. I enjoyed this run, and Helix, I have to thank you very much for tagging along for the commentary for this as well.
I mean, thank you for having me. And hey, if you didn't tell me this was your first time here, I would not have known. You are a natural.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, so apart from that, also have to shout out the Drivers Colony folks. You guys know who you are. Thanks to those of you that donated as well. And yeah, apart from that, if you guys are interested in catching anything I do, whether it's live streams, game playthroughs, I do all of it on YouTube, youtube.com/kurushiidrive. And please do check out the speedrunning community for Afterimage if you're interested. We have a wonderful but tight-knit community. And yeah, I think that's about it.